Today, not only does New Delhi want turnout, they also want to tell people who to vote for.
Why were they arrested and harassed?
They bring these people to the Thana, they keep them for the duration of polling and then they let them go in the evening. One of the people fighting the election against me, he started the campaign by saying he wants to win. Now he says he just wants me to lose.
Draws this strength
From the Almighty. कुछ तो है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी. सदियों रहा दुश्मन दौरे ज़मां हमारा.
Hello and welcome to our program, Know Your Candidate. Our guest today is National Conference Vice President, Mr. Omar Abdullah. He is contesting parliamentary elections for Baramulla constituency. Mr. Abdullah, welcome to our program. What is the significance of these elections for National Conference and for people of Jammu and Kashmir?
Look, all elections are significant. These ones have added significance because they're the first Lok Sabha or the first major elections taking place after 5th August 2019 when 370 was hollowed out and all the momentous changes were forced on Jammu and Kashmir. They're also the first election where we're fighting as a union territory. They're the first election we're fighting after delimitation. So in every way, this is a unique experience or a new sort of challenge for us. But we've met the challenge head on and let's see now what happens.
Prime Minister Modi says that there is no going back on Article 370. But your party's main election issue is 370. Is the decision Government of India took in 2019 reversible?
Why is it not reversible? No decision comes from the hands of God. The decision to hollow out 370 was a man-made decision. And every man-made decision can be reversed. I didn't hear the BJP say any of this when previous Supreme Court judgments upheld 370. There were 3 previous judgments where 370 was upheld. This time it wasn't. Who's to say that in future there won't be a bench that will reverse this judgment of the Supreme Court? And the BJP will not be in power forever. We have political parties that see eye to eye on this issue. The challenge for us is to keep the issue alive and wait for the time when we will be able to get something back.
Prime Minister and Home Minister is saying that abrogation of Article 370 led to high voter turnout in Kashmir. Do you agree with that?
Then what explains the high voter turnout in all elections prior to 1990? In fact, if you compare this election to elections prior to 87, the turnout is actually much lower. Srinagar used to vote in 70%, 80%. I had panchayat elections in Jammu and Kashmir in 2011 where the turnout was 80% to 90%. How come then I should credit that turnout and higher turnout to 370? In fact, the abrogation of 370 has caused a fall in turnout. So, look, it's the habit of this central government. They choose numbers that suit them. They want to forget. Yes, this number is higher than 96. But then 96 and elections after that, violence, boycott, those were all factors. 370 was not a factor in those elections. What you see today in the Srinagar parliament seat, hopefully what you will see in Baramulla, is in spite of what the BJP has done, not because of what the BJP has done.
BJP is saying that scrapping of Article 370 led to peace and development in Jammu and Kashmir and security situation has improved here. Do you agree with that?
I think they would be foolish to make that claim. You had 2 tourists who barely survived with their lives, and you had one former Sarpanch belonging to the BJP who unfortunately lost his life. So let's now stop beating this drum incessantly that they have normalized the situation. In a normal situation, tourists are not gunned down. Political workers are not shot dead. So no, I think the sooner we stop talking about this normalcy, the better.
Prime Minister is always saying that 3 families have destroyed Jammu and Kashmir. What does he mean by that?
I have no idea what they mean. And I think we'll leave the voters to decide.
You have mentioned in your speeches that BJP views National Conference as main threat to it in Kashmir. Why so?
What else was the Home Minister doing here? The Honorable Home Minister leaves campaign in the rest of the country with crucial areas like Delhi, Jharkhand, parts of UP, and others yet to go to the polls. And he comes here and spends 2 days. For what purpose? They have no candidates in the field here. In 5 seats in Jammu and Kashmir, you don't see Congress leaders coming and leaving their campaign and spending days here. Yet the Home Minister comes and spends 2 days. Clearly, he came with a mission. And we know what his mission was, because we know from delegations who met the Honorable Home Minister what they were instructed to do. And the entire focus of those meetings was to defeat National Conference.
There is a general feeling that MPs in Jammu and Kashmir who were representing people of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019 didn't represent the aspirations of the people of the place in Parliament and outside Parliament.
Well, I can only speak for 2 of them because one of them was in detention. But given that there were 2 MPs, I believe that they did as much as they could, both within Parliament and also by taking the matter to the Supreme Court. I couldn't have expected more from them. They put their objections vociferously against what happened. They tried to rally other parties, which is really as much as I would have expected from them.
With the emergence of Engineer Rashid on the scene in Baramulla, do you think that this contest has become a little bit challenge for you?
Have you not seen people in our rallies? Then there are enough voters. What you see is a very small percentage of the voters of Baramulla parliamentary constituency. And plus, let's not ignore the soft separatist slogans that he is sort of using for his campaign. I wonder how many of those soft separatists will actually come to the polling booth to vote. Some of the slogans that have been used in his rallies are reminiscent of the slogans that were used around Burhanwani time in 2016. Now, that's not a constituency that I can appeal to. That's not a constituency that will vote for me. More often than not, that's not even a constituency that will vote. Also, I think it's a bit disingenuous because National Conference will never talk for just one prisoner. We will talk for all of them. The person you're talking about, his campaign is all about himself. Our campaign is about the thousands of youngsters who have been in jail after 2019 and what we want to do to bring them back.
There is an issue of these youngsters who have a lot of FIRs registered against them. Their families, their distant relatives, they are not getting CID clearance. Would you take up this issue?
I mean, this is an issue that we had actually put to rest when I was Chief Minister. We put a stop to this blacklist. And I was very categorical in the decision that we took in the Unified Command headquarters, that militants' children cannot be treated as militants. Militants' relatives cannot be treated as militants. By all means, if somebody has been a militant, you punish them however you see fit. But you can't punish somebody for the crimes of their family members. So yes, this is an injustice that is being done to them. And this is an injustice we are committed to removing.
Despite all odds against your party in last 4 decades, first militants targeted your workers and your leaders. Then after 2014, BJP targeted almost all the parties across the country. When we go to the ground, we see National Conference mass support base across Jammu and Kashmir. Tell me where from National Conference draws this strength?
From the Almighty. What can I say? कुछ तो है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी. सदियों रहा दुश्मन दौरे ज़मां हमारा. I mean, it is a fact that we have faced an onslaught. Earlier it was the Pakistani generals that were out to destroy National Conference. Today it is New Delhi and its agencies. So one way or the other, some power is unhappy with us, but the Almighty seems to smile down on us. And so long as we continue to represent the aspirations of the people, I believe that we will continue to receive this kind of love and respect. But it also heightens our sense of responsibility, because we have to prove ourselves worthy of this respect, this love, and I intend to do that.
When PAGD was formed after 2019, almost all the parties were part of it. But today, we are seeing that its constituents are fighting against one another. What went wrong?
PAGD otherwise has tried its best to remain intact. Look, for the National Conference, I assume for CPM, for ANC, because we are fighting together, this is an ideological battle. It was not about elections. It was not about seats. For the PDP, clearly it was. It was not ideological for them. It was self-interest. They wanted to see how best to get a seat or two seats or more from the National Conference, which is unfortunate. Either your association with an alliance or with a group is out of ideology. If it is, then that should be paramount. But if your interest is only yourself, then anything is fine. I mean, even look at PDP is part of the India bloc. Where have you seen Mehbooba Mufti campaign against the BJP? Anywhere. Did you see her go to Udhampur? Did you see her go to Jammu? Nowhere did she once go out and campaign against the BJP. Why? Clearly there is more to it than meets the eye. Perhaps similar to 2014, there is some hidden understanding that we will only learn about later. We learnt about the 2014 understanding from Fayaz Bukhari Sahab because he left the PDP. Tomorrow, somebody else will leave her and we'll learn about what understanding she has now.
You are calling Altaf Bukhari and Sajadon B team of BJP.
But I'm not. Their actions are doing it. I'm not the one who meets Tarun Chugh when he comes to Srinagar. I'm not the one who says that I have no problem, I'll join the NDA. I'm not the one who got a ministry in late Mufti Sayyid's cabinet from the BJP quota. I'm not the one who got a letter of support from the BJP to form a government in 2018. These are all facts. You can't dispute them. I'm not the one who calls the Prime Minister Mera Bada Bhai. With all due respect to the Prime Minister, I don't think he would ever consider me his Chota Bhai. And so be it. Such is life.
You have alleged that your workers were arrested ahead of vote. Did you took this issue with Election Commission of India? And why were they arrested and harassed? What was the reason?
Very cleverly, the police don't really file any papers. They bring these people to the Thana, they keep them for the duration of polling and then they let them go in the evening. National Conference poll staff being called to police stations, workers being troubled, others being told, you have this case against you, you have this FIR against you, basically trying to harass them.
What is the motive behind this, all this?
Look, in the past, New Delhi was interested in a higher turnout. Today, not only does New Delhi want turnout, they also want to tell people who to vote for. And their entire focus is on defeating National Conference. I mean, look at the person you mentioned recently, one of the people fighting the election against me in Baramulla seat, Sajad Ghani Lone. He started the campaign by saying he wants to win. Now he says he just wants me to lose.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's losing. So कहता चलो मैं तो डूब गया सनम, तुम्हें भी ले डूबूंगा. Where does this come from? This comes from an agenda of the BJP. The Home Minister has told him कि किसी तरह Omar Abdullah को हारना है. So that is why now Sajad Lone, from saying vote for me, now he's saying vote against Omar Abdullah. ठीक है?
Why is he saying so?
Because he knows he's going to lose.
He said that he will be happy if Omar Abdullah loses. Then winning is on.
I have never known somebody who takes such U-turns so effortlessly. The man can hold the Quran and lie. The man starts an election campaign by saying, vote for me. Then says, I don't want to win, but don't let him win. What sort of representative will he be? I mean, God help the people of whichever constituency are unfortunate enough to elect him. Because clearly, serving the people is not his agenda. Everything is personal for him.
How significant is this election for people of India?
Of course, it's important. You have 10 years of this government. This government with 10 years of significant change. Some of it good, a lot of it not so good. But you also have statements about what this government will do if, God forbid, they're given another term in office. You've had senior BJP people talking about dismembering the constitution, rewriting the constitution. completely reorienting what India will look like. You have the threats of war now being made. No lesser person than the Chief Minister of the politically most significant state of the country, saying that within 6 months, if Prime Minister Modi is returned to power, he will have Pakistan's control over that side of Kashmir completely erased. That is not possible without war. So it's very possible that if Prime Minister Modi comes back to power, we will face a war within months. So how is that not significant for this country? We face a fight for our constitution. We face a fight for our country. We might, as I said, be in a war with a nuclear power.
What does you see India block in these elections?
I wish I could tell you that I know what's happening in the rest of the country. But the truth is, I've been so caught up in the election for these 5 seats that I really haven't had time to look at what's happening elsewhere. I can tell you what I hope. And what I hope is that some of the voices that have started to emerge about the BJP not doing as well as it was expecting. And suddenly they've stopped talking about 400. They've even stopped talking about 370. Now sort of the goal has shifted. The fact that they're now going back to religious polarization, Hindu-Muslim, the fact that they're targeting Pakistan would suggest that the BJP is not comfortable with how this election is going for them. Whether I'm right or wrong, we'll know on the 4th of June. So let's see.
Prime Minister raised this issue of Mangalsutra and other issues, controversial issues on Muslims. How do you see?
Well, I mean, look, if this sort of hatred or this sort of division that is sought to be injected into an election campaign, if it only lasted for the duration of the election campaign, fine. It's unfortunate, but we would live with it. But these sort of things, they have a much longer shelf life. They last for much longer. This division, this hatred, tomorrow, let's assume even for a moment that Prime Minister Modi is returned to power. How can he ever claim to represent 140 crore Indians when he has campaigned against 14% of that 140 crores? That's something that all of us need to keep in mind. An election campaign is not just until the last date of polling. It's for the next 5 years. And at some point, we have to stop being politicians and start being statesmen. Unfortunately, in this election, statesmanship has all but disappeared. And it's just hardcore, brutal politics.
If India bloc wins and forms the government, or BJP wins and forms the government after these elections, what would be your expectations from the new government?
Well, clearly I have very little expectation from the NDA because we've already seen what they will do. Nothing good will come out of their returning to power as far as J&K is concerned. If the India bloc comes back to power, then obviously I'm more hopeful. In the immediate, I would expect that statehood will be restored to Jammu and Kashmir even before the assembly elections. Then I would expect assembly elections in a full-fledged state before the deadline imposed by the Supreme Court. And then obviously we will start talking to them about restoring some of the protections that we had for our land, our jobs, our domicile, our very existence. And we would hope to receive some significant returns from them.
Holding up the parliamentary elections in Jammu and Kashmir now pave way for assembly elections here?
Look, if the government of India wants to risk contempt of court, by all means, but also if the Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Home Minister want to risk being termed as dishonest, then fine, don't have the elections on time. But time and again, you have had statements from no lesser person than the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Home Minister, when they have come to Jammu and Kashmir and said कि Supreme Court की लगाई हुई सीमा से पहले जो है चुनाव कर दिए जाएंगे, which means that they aim to finish it before the deadline imposed by the Supreme Court. I will take them at their word. I don't believe that they will lie to people like that. I hope not.
There has been a lot of criticism on redrawing of boundaries of various constituencies. How has it impacted this election and the people?
Look, for the people, they will end up choosing a representative. In some constituencies, it has made the job tougher. Now, Anantnag parliamentary constituency has been completely dismembered. You have taken 7 constituencies from the other side of the Pir Panchal. You weren't even able to conduct the elections on time in that seat. Now, obviously, we understand the closure of the road was not a reason. The reason was to give enough time for the Honorable Home Minister to come here and try and influence the result in that constituency. It had nothing to do with the Mughal road. It had nothing to do with the rain. That was all an excuse. This was the Election Commission facilitating the BJP's campaign in the Anantnag Rajouri Parliament seat. So let's accept that. But even otherwise, it's as I said in the beginning, for us, this has been a learning experience. We're trying to understand how constituencies will respond to the new sort of layout. Areas have been cut from one, joined to another. It has made, for want of a better word, an interesting campaign. And we'll wait and see how it plays out.
When this redrawing was taking place, you were not consulted at that time?
Well, we were consulted in as much as our delegation met them. But none of the suggestions that were made were accepted. This was done purely at the behest of the BJP and its allies. This was done to facilitate the parties that are supporting the BJP in this election. That's why you see the way the redrawing happened in Kupwara district, the way the redrawing happened in Srinagar district, other areas, the way Birwa and Badgam were cut from Srinagar and kept with Anantnag. All this was done to benefit those parties that are helping the BJP today. And what happened on the other side of the Pir Panchal was done purely at the behest of the BJP.
Your sons were seen with you during the campaign. Any program of their joining politics soon?
Well, they've been asked this question before and their answer to that has been no. And I'm happy for that to be the case.
Mr. Abdullah, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Thank you.